In the top left of Dragon Scales, we have Psystorm Gaming's MaxPax. In the bottom right, we have Team Liquid's Clem. So, Clem, I believe, is the favorite. And that is a fact. When you beat someone 5 times in a row, you are then the favorite. Doesn't mean 100%, no doubt about it, Clem is going to win, but it does give it an awful lot of credit. I were you, that's where I'd put my money. Speaking of, gotta start the bets up. MaxPax is one of the players who I think really pushes Clem the most. Certainly pushed him the most a little while ago, like 2 months ago. I think they were... It was like MaxPax sided for a little bit, I want to say. Then it was pretty even, not really sure. Kind of seems like it was dependent on the day. And then, most recently, it's been Clem favored. So, MaxPax gets a couple of good jabs. He gets a couple of tricks that bother Clem, but 4 months ago, Clem would have faltered against such tricks or backstabs or slaps. Now he doesn't. Now, even if he's clearly like, clearly he moves his army in kind of an oh shit manner, he still actually manages to roll out of things okay against MaxPax, where again, previously he would have done an oh shit maneuver. Clearly, we would have watched Terran army stim to get the hell away, and then he would have died. And Clem, like I had said in the last best of 3 we saw with him, has gotten even more lethal in his StarCraft games. So his TVTs, TVPs, not so much his TVZs, but they've definitely ended even prior to the 5-minute mark. TVZ doesn't really get started until the 5-minute mark, so I would say that that's not necessarily the case. But even then, even in that matchup, Clem has gotten more lethal because he's opening up with the 2 racks more and more often. Oh, the Adept shaded away. I wonder what happened there. So, yeah, he's been winning a lot of games sub 5 minutes. Kind of crazy. Reaper does get into the main base, gets a scout, skedaddles. Actually didn't get a full scout. Must have thought the Adept was chasing him. The Adept, or either he thought the Adept was chasing him, or he realized the Adept was coming across the map. I would say that's almost always the case when you see the Reaper pull back, but then I realized he had a bunker. But then, as you can see, the Adept still causes problems. So yeah, the Reaper pulled back because he realized the Adept wasn't responding to him. He wanted the Reaper to come help out, and it is good that it did. And now his command center has finished bunker with an SCV. I was like, where did the second Marine come from? It's the SCV. And that mule was dropped at a very inopportune time. Hellion is about to pop, but that mule's still wasting time running around. A little Marine battle. Marine finally loses its life. And hey, this is a solid start for MaxPax, actually. Clem does not get to set everything up perfectly. You know, these are tiny little pin marks, you know, but it still is something. And Clem still has yet to actually know exactly what his opponent is up to. So far, he's seen 2 Adepts, which, you know, sometimes can lead into a 3rd Adept, and then maybe it's a Stargate. Sometimes it leads into a 3rd unit that's a Stalker. In this case, it's a Stalker. Which, yeah, points more towards the Twilight Council. And, well, there's no Oracle so far. There's been no Phoenix helping out, so most likely this is a Twilight Council. And it absolutely was. Blink is on the way, about halfway done. A little bit of damage happening in the natural of the mineral line. As the scout still didn't completely come through, but again, everything really does point to a Twilight Council opener. And the likelihood of a professional Protoss going for a charge first is laughably low. Like, you just don't consider it. So, everything combined together, you know it's Twilight Council opener, you know it's Blink. Next checkup on the gateway counts, and that is something that Clem absolutely did see. 2 gateways on the front, 2 gateways in the main base. He knows that a 4-gate's on the way. It is MaxPax after all. And whenever he opens up the Twilight Council, he opens up the 4-gate. So Clem is prepping to defend against that. He does have a medevac. I don't know where it is, but it's actually already spotted. It's waiting to send in those Widow Mines, and then he's trying to get his tank out in position. 2nd bunker on the way. Sometimes a bunker in the main also goes down, but it looks like this time Clem is not going to bother. Helping out of SimCity a little bit more, some supply depot placements, and then waiting to transfer that barracks onto the Starport Tech Lab. That's a decent amount of stalkers, but with the blink up into the main, they can't really get on top of that tank. However, there's enough space in them, the main, to actually reinforce, blink around, and MaxPax is known for his aggressive blinks. However, with now 2 tanks properly prepared, I don't think he's going to be able to jump on top of the army. So he's going to harass, he's going to bother, he's going to stall, but he won't actually break Clem. And hey, stalling out Stim by 20, 25 seconds, maybe even longer, actually. It's pretty freaking good. Bunker in the Natural was prepared. The repair costs the Stalkers a couple more shots to actually kill it. Second bunker's available anyway, and this opens up the opportunity for the army to reposition, which it does do. 2 tanks about to siege up, but still a lot of Stalkers, however, so Clem has to be careful, but he also did some damage. Probes did go down to a single Widow Mine, single one still in Clem's back pocket. MaxPax is not done with the stalker aggression yet. He has 19 stalkers. Yeah, that's a lot. That could actually overwhelm. If Clem thinks that MaxPax is splitting his army, but he's not, Clem gets overwhelmed. If MaxPax splits his army and Clem doesn't expect that, Clem loses some very serious workers, worker counts, tank counts, suddenly down to 1 or 2, for instance, and then, well, that's how the snowball starts. So you still got to really be trying to figure out exactly how MaxPax plays this. All in on one location, divide and conquer. Does he go into harassment because he's actually building probes back at home? Did he actually build a Nexus? Like, what the hell is he actually doing? And we have this little bit of a split, but the majority of the stalkers are in the main base. They blink after that one tank. Now, another tank was still shooting away with them. The other tank on the left side as well. Starting to kind of corral these stalkers a little bit. Stim and combat shields finally truly on the way, although that Stim is a little vulnerable. That's something that MaxPax is actually going to try and grab. I actually think he really could. It'd be only 1 tank firing at him, and if he had a concave, he could really mitigate the damage. A lot of stalkers in the Natural, because he thinks that might be an opportunity to overwhelm there. Tank does go down. Bunker will not. That high ground tank helping out a tremendous amount, making sure this does not snowball well and truly. Medivacs are finally on the way as Stim combat shields will finish up in about 20 to 30 seconds. However, the bio has to be kept intact until then. You still are mostly dependent on your tanks. It might look like this has been good for the Protoss. They have managed to crack open a couple of spaces, but not completely. They've not cracked Clem completely. So if they're not snowballing to actual victory, we do have to take a look at where the Protoss is once Stim combat shields +1 is done for the Terran. Once the Terran has their complete army, what is the Protoss' situation? And often, after a 4-gate that doesn't win the game, it's a subpar position. But not when you're MaxPax. MaxPax really does use this as kind of an opener. And he has a big belief in his ability to macro out of it, even if it went poorly. Which I would say didn't really go poorly. Not for the standards that MaxPax has set for his 4-gate. This has certainly, I think, done enough damage to put Clem into an awkward position. He still has to worry about the Warp Prism coming in, harassing his natural or main base, so he can't reinforce immediately. He still has to be concerned about getting a 3rd base on location with all that harassment to take into account. And he does have to be concerned about the number of units that MaxPax has, but apparently with 2 tanks situated in that choke, that 4th base is going to have to be canceled. MaxPax thought he could defend it, but decided better. Out-upgraded. With the tanks properly sieged, he thought that would not go so well, and maybe he was right about that, so he sacrifices the 4th base, or 100 minerals, because he get the cancel. In exchange for keeping his army alive, Clem will take what he can get and run back home, which I think is actually the smartest thing to do here. He still hasn't dealt with the Warp Prism quite yet, finally does so with the help of a Viking, and will get his 3rd CC situated before he travels out in the map again. By that time, MaxPax will probably have reestablished his 4th, this time in that more forward position. And he will have a couple of Colossus to work with. One tank's going to go down there. MaxPax getting good damage with the stalkers, even after that stalker portion is kind of... Usually, by this point, it's done its thing. It's moving on. One less tank to defend, actually, as MaxPax starts to aggress. I'm not sure he really has the favor here to be aggressive. Like, even if he had a Colossus, it'd be one Colossus, and I don't think that's quite enough. MaxPax takes bold engagements. It's going to go for an attack on the front, and then harassment on the natural. Warp Prism and Zealots coming in from the other side of town. The attack will not work out, but it is, after all, a distraction. And MaxPax needs to make sure that he actually completely evacuates. Going to lose an Immortal for staying around a little too long. Didn't realize that Clem would be going after him. Since the tanks were sieged up and not participating, MaxPax might have thought the bio wouldn't chase, but it did. Still managing to keep most of his Stalkers alive. 2 Colossus now, working on his 3rd. And of course, the high ground defense that this base gives you. Looks to set up MaxPax well defensively, but Clem has a very good army. He's defending the run-bys really well. They are bothering him, but he is defending them quickly enough that he can then focus back on the front lines. But the front lines has a big problem right now. Despite the overall army supply looking great for Clem, his actual health on his army is disturbingly low. The medevac numbers are not high enough. And that is something that is going to hurt as he actually takes the engagement here. The tanks are focus firing on what they can, but that was not good enough. And I don't think Clem can actually re-aggress again with the limited amount of healing that he has. So, I mean, it's not good enough to continue, but it's not like it was terrible either, just to be clear. Clem still holds on to an even army supply, superior upgrades, adding in Ghost and Vikings. Finally, additional medevacs on the way as well. And MaxPax still has to be very careful with this army. It's still a bit of a glass cannon. Those Stalkers and Colossus will fall rather quickly to Marauders that are in a concave and fully healed. That is the issue, though. They are not getting fully healed. The Widowmine field will buy some time as MaxPax looks to maybe engage a little. Uses Colossus range there. The Widowmine's kind of stalled him out. He has no observer on the front lines. Disruptor will have to take care of him, and he will. One shot should do the trick. Widowmine drop is going to manage to go unseen over to the right side, so that could affect this 3rd base where there are no defenses. But MaxPax has stabilized on 4 bases, now moving on to a 5th. Clem only just now about over halfway done on his 4th. Widowmine's aplenty popping off against these Zealot run-bys. And enough reinforcements will take care of things as well. So that bunker not full is actually a bit deceiving. It looks like he's protected, he's actually not. Widowmine's trying to protect his retreat at every time is annoying for MaxPax. I think he really would have liked to have gotten more punish on these move-outs. But so far, can't do it. Widowmine's also popping off on the 3rd base. Only kills 6 probes. Not really the biggest deal. And no further Widowmine to cost this 4th base. Could this bunker actually get a couple Marines in it? You know, maybe. Eventually. At some point. Maybe. Nope. It's a distraction. And the funny thing is that a bunker, like, it actually has no threat. So, like, it's SimCity is what it is. Not even a distraction. It's a SimCity. Sure. I mean, SimCity is better than nothing. Oh, that's a sense terror on the missile turrets. The observer is still getting a lot of free information. Clem is trying to be active with his army, but at this point, MaxPax really has got his 4 bases locked up nice and tight. He is still going to be out upgraded as that +2 attack will finish soon for Clem, but MaxPax now with double forge, chronoing away. It's perfecting the Protoss army. I would assume more disruptors are on the way as well, going up to 4. Yeah, 4th just started. And Clem is going to have to play out some serious late game TVP. And MaxPax is going to continue hammering away here with the charge lot run-bys. Widowmine's only helping out so much against that amount of charge lots. That's like all of his charge lots, like 22 of them. Clem kind of accepts defeat there, tries to pick up and reinforce elsewhere, but he is under pressure from 2 different sides, and I don't think this actually is going to work out. Defensively, Clem has faltered as his supply dips the farthest so far. He's now straight up behind. He does snipe the disruptor, though. That was good. And he does finally have his 4th base up as a planetary, so the Zealot run-bys will be a little less threatening in the future. However, it is only a matter of time before MaxPax is able to add on Dark Shrine with Shadow Stride. He's going to be on 5 bases soonish. If he doesn't just straight up win the game, actually. Not enough Vikings to, I think, really threaten the Colossus as much as Clem was hoping, but aside from that, you still have the disruptors to take apart, which requires so much time. Widowmines will start to pop off. They will get their shot for going down to the disruptor. And Clem is holding on technically, but he's not thriving. He is not thriving in any way, shape, or form. Disruptor actually being miscontrolled over there, and MaxPax is about to lose a lot of his army. Disruptor going to be focus fired. The second one is not going to be. However, it is completely going to whiff. I don't think it matters. I do not think it matters. Yep, Clem cannot defend. And the first game will go to MaxPax. I think his 4-gate is actually more effective than recent games between the two. And that started the problems for Clem. Those campaign bunkers with a turret? Yes. As a Terran, I would say that there is no way that that would be overpowered. Thank you. They actually almost gave Terrans perdition turrets. I think that was a Heart of the Swarm idea, I think. Pretty sure it was Heart of the Swarm. Perdition turrets being the fire turrets, the ones that are hidden, and then they pop out of the ground. You get them in the campaign, you get them in Swan and co-op. That would have been so amazing. That would have been so good. All right, game 2 in the top left, up 1. He is MaxPax. And in the bottom right is the Red Terran. He is Clem. MaxPax continuing to be the hope of the Protoss around the world. Many young Protosses clutching their Protoss notebooks, watching him in awe on the TVs at JCPenney. I don't know, what do people used to, what big departments were used to exist? They all look up to him. It's wonderful, actually. It's beautiful. But he never appears offline, so it's only so effective. If MaxPax could establish dominance in an offline tournament, I think people would really collectively herald him as the savior of Protoss. Hero was the hero of Protoss last year, but he fell off. And now all eyes are on MaxPax, but only so much, as online versus offline is still a big difference. Clem is looking to be the best Terran in Europe. He already is. That's factual. He's already the best Terran in Europe. He's already the best player in European regionals. But Cyril and Raynor obviously give him a lot of trouble overall. I'd say he's almost... No, perfect's not the right word. And I don't know if he is actually better than Maru in any way right now, right? Specifically now? Well, clearly better than him in TvT. I was thinking TVZ. Because actually, I think Clem obviously has very good TVZ, no doubt about that. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but it's just like, it did seem to be played out a little bit at Gamers 8. Raynor was also on an incredible win streak. I mean, Jesus. But he's mixed that up too, actually. So it does feel like Clem is continuing to improve. I don't know if we've ever seen him in his actual final form yet. His absolute best, especially because all of his offline performances always seem to be a little lackluster compared to his online. But yeah, we have MaxPax, the potential savior of Protoss, versus the new best Terran, potentially. I would say at this point that is the last title that Clem has his sights set on. Aside from actual titles and championships. You know, actually lifting the trophy. Which he has yet to do in an offline tournament. He's also looking to be the most winningest player in the European Open Cup, which he's still 4 wins away from that. Today could be one of those wins if he brings it back, but MaxPax is once again opening up with the Twilight Council, so let's go ahead and skip forward 2 minutes and say that he's already opening up with a 4-gate. Just skip on forward. This could be a time skip, it wouldn't even... You wouldn't even realize it. A fairly similar opener. Actually, one more Hellion. Also, no Reaper whatsoever, so it is a different opener. Manages to kill that Adept, too. Now, 2 Hellions, a handful of Marines, and a Medevac just flying across the map. Could be problematic, but... I feel like MaxPax might be already on to this problem. I mean, he's seeing nothing concrete so far. Oh, there you go. Now he's seen something concrete. He sees the reactor factory building aliens. Oh, I wonder what that is for. Yeah. So we're building aliens. And if everything went to plan, Clem would have 2 Hellions already, which he still does, and he would have 2 more Hellions, total of 4. Is he going to go to 6? We saw Spirit. We saw Spirit do this earlier. It wasn't too effective, actually. Christianer having a wonderful hold against it, and this one is also not going to be too effective. He loses the medevac and 4 Marines in it. Oh, very unfortunate move out right there for Clem. MaxPax on the opposite side, very luckily finding that in such an opportune time and moment, you know, that actually kill the entire medevac. It would have been one thing to injure it and kind of set it back a couple of seconds, but to actually kill it, hot damn. And that was the only time Clem really had to make use of these units, by the way. The 4-gate was incoming, which actually Clem had never scouted. He never got a scout across the map, but it's MaxPax. You can assume a 4-gate, I don't know, 5 times out of 10. He used to do it way more often, and now he mixes it in a little bit. But since he just won with the opener, I think, last game, it'd be very likely for him to do it again. And MaxPax might finally be breaking the Clem curse. Losing to him 5 times previously. All fairly one-sided, I would say, too. 2-0, 3-1, 2-1, 2-0, 2-0. Might finally actually be defeating him. The last time he defeated him was in a best-of-5 finals back in July. And it was a 2-3. Or 3-2 for MaxPax. No one has ever seen Zest and MaxPax in the same room. It's true. But they have talked to both of them. And one has substantially better English than the other. And a weirdly Danish accent for a Korean guy. How good of an actor is this? Whoopsie-daisy. In the bottom left of Ancient Cistern, we do have MaxPax. And in the top right, it is Clem, who is sending out an SCV. Sneaky, sneaky. Sneaky, sneaky. MaxPax ahead 2 games thanks to his 4-gate. Probably gonna 4-gate again. But his plans might be interrupted because Clem is proxying him. And with a second SCV on the way, it looks like he is heavily proxying him. Pretty perfectly timed out. Cuts SCVs, gets the refinery, and then the bunker, the barracks, sorry, can be built. Yeah, pretty perfectly timed out there. Are we gonna have Mawadas? MaxPax sometimes is not probe scout, to be fair. But this time around, he is probe scouting. It is after a gateway, so if you are gonna scout, you know, one of the later scouts, I guess, there's immediately, and then there's pylon, and then there's gateway. He's going to see the lack of barracks. He's going to see only 1 gas. And he's going to maybe start looking around for the actual proxies. But the fact that he actually knows this is on the way is already very important. Because if he had not scouted at all, this would have been a complete surprise. It also looks like he was already planning on potentially being aggressive. That Zealot looks like it started before the probe scouted. I'm pretty sure about that. So like that's already going to help him a little bit. Just to have a unit as opposed to no armor unit. Even though the Zealot doesn't often get to do any damage to these projectile units, these range units. If it can help tear down a bunker, for instance, it's already pretty big. And the most important thing about that is to make sure not to get supply blocked, which of course MaxPax is very wary of. He has a second pylon already built, which means he's not supply blocked due to building a Zealot and probes. And he has the pylon in position to build a shield battery. It's already a pretty good start. Clem knows that he could be in trouble. He knows this is not going to be super easy. This is not going to be a build or win because the guy didn't scout. So he's going to have to micro his way out of this one, I want to say. Shield battery number 1's done. Number 2 is on the way. That's already a huge boost to the early game defense. And the second soccer's out as well. I don't know, man. This seems like the best setup possible. This would be a big surprise considering their history But today, MaxPax coming out swinging. It's not some. These are not things that he has not done, by the way. It's what's so weird about MaxPax is that sometimes the same builds and the same styles don't work, and sometimes they do. But as far as him suddenly defeating someone who has beaten him 5 times in the past, you might think, oh, because he changed his style, or he got massively better. And I never think that. He certainly doesn't change his style that much. And as far as him being massively better than the last time they faced off, I don't know about that either. It's a mixture of him being better and his opponent being a little bit worse, I guess. 1 Marauder goes down, 2 Marauders go down. Only 1 shield battery has fallen so far. No arm units yet for the Protoss, and Clem is in danger zone. He has not done enough damage to warrant this double Marauder proxy. And with the 2nd shield battery up, although the overcharge will dissipate, and the amount of protection here should be strong enough. 1 Stalker barely not going down. Actually, it looks like Clem thought that it would, so he fired on another Stalker, thinking it would go down, and it didn't. And, well, even if he had killed that 1 extra Stalker, I don't think that would have changed things up. A very, very quick 3-0 in MaxPax's favor. Completely swapping up the script here and getting another gold under his belt. Denying Clem another chance to catch up to Hero Marine.